Hi, welcome to These Book Reviews. This is the February wrap-up. There's quite a few books this month because of travelling up and down from Wakefield. There's quite a few audiobooks, so I need to explain those without having the book. And one was an e-arc and one was a book that I forgot to put in this stack. So I'm just going to explain that one. First up was The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. This is a reimagining of The Little Mermaid. The only other retelling of The Little Mermaid I've read is The Sea Witch. I definitely preferred this one over The Sea Witch. Also, it is so pretty. I listened to The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. So good as an audiobook. I really want to buy the books as well, but don't have the money at the moment. But the audiobook was amazing, fully narrated by Neil Patrick Harris himself, which was awesome. Just a really fun story, which got a little bit dicey at times, but a great middle grade read. To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is kind of a Little Mermaid retelling, but it's not, because she's a siren princess, and oh my gosh, it has one of my new OTPs in. They were so cute. It was such an awesome meet cute as well. Though I suppose consulting each other and being sarky isn't that cute, but that is totally my jam. So yeah, absolutely loved this book. The Lost Witch by Melvin Burgess. Unfortunately, I wish I had given this book up after the first 5 chapters, if not before then. I persevered with it and I really wish I hadn't. I know I hate saying this, but I really actually wish I DNF'd it, and I'm pretty gutted that I didn't, because I feel like I wasted my time reading it. It was a good idea, I just don't think it was well executed, and there was quite a bit in it that I didn't enjoy. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say about it without spoiling it at all. Obviously, if you want to read it, go ahead. I'm not saying you can't read it or you shouldn't read it. Everybody should make up their own decisions and make up their own minds. It was not for me. I listened to Midnight for Charlie Bone, which is the first of the Children of the Red King series by Jenny Nimmo. It was so good. I read the first half of the series years ago. I must have been, I don't know, I want to say 10 or something. I think it came out after that, but I read it a long time ago. My cousins in Canada had it, and I read it when I went over on holidays. I do not remember this story at all. I could not remember anything about it apart from the fact that I really enjoyed it. Listening to an audiobook has meant that I've been able to re-enjoy it. It's completely different to what I thought it was. As I say, I can't remember anything about it from the first time, but it is a really good story and I'm really looking forward to listening to the rest of the series. Everland by Wendy Spinell. This is the first in the Everland trilogy, and it's a retelling of Peter Pan. In a way, the idea for this is so cool. It's dystopian, it's steampunk, it's a retelling. It is awesome, and the fact that it's a dystopian, but a kind of historical dystopian by the sounds of things. It sounds like it's late Victorian, early Edwardian period. I could be wrong in that, or things just didn't carry on the way that our history has done. But wow, I loved this so much. Such an original concept in my opinion. I obviously haven't read every single book. I don't know if it's been done before, but I loved it so much. I then went straight into Umberland by Wendy Spinell. This is the second in the Everland series, and it is a twist on Alice in Wonderland. I loved how each of the places was kind of a take on it, and how people's names were, or their characteristics and stuff. I loved Maddox. I'm just going to say that. Read it. He was a bit I want to say the opposite of Tamlin. people that have read ACOTAR and read this, you will probably get that in the fact that, to start off with, I liked Tamlin, kinda, and then he turns out to be a tool, whereas in this, Maddox seems a tool, and he actually turns out alright once you get to know him. But really enjoyed this one, and I ended up going straight into Ausland, which is the third and final one in the series. This is based between Germany and Ireland. It was so interesting bringing in the other countries. I don't really find any stories set in Ireland, and I loved this one. I really enjoyed the fact that it was like all the threads that had been woven in the first two kind of got merged together and all wound up by the end. Really, really enjoyed it. I also managed to listen to The Magic Misfits, the second story, which again is by Neil Patrick Harris. It was narrated partially by him and majority by somebody else. I'm not sure who. I enjoyed the story. I just wish that Neil Patrick Harris had narrated the whole thing. I think because he narrated the whole of the first book. I know it's set from a different person's point of view, so that's probably why it was done. I just wish that Neil Patrick Harris had narrated it again. That was like really my only bugbear about it. As I said, I really, really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the rest of them to come out. I think Neil said there's 5 in total, which I am so excited for. I then read the Everland novella Lost Boy, which is a prequel to Everland. I'm kind of happy I left it to the end, but at the same time, originally I wanted to read it at the beginning. I don't know if it would have made me more upset, less upset, maybe feel for some of the characters in a different way, but I cried. It's a novella. It's really tiny, and I cried for the majority of it because I knew what happened to the characters. I was also getting to know more about the characters, and then I was able to go, that's why they did that, that's how they reacted like that. So I would love to, in, I'm going to say a couple of years, to go back, once I've kind of forgotten about it, read Lost Boy first, and then go through the trilogy and see it from that point of view. It was really, really good, and if you want to read the Everland trilogy, or you have read it, I would highly recommend reading the novella. It's personal preference, obviously, where you put it. I think it was released after Umberland. I'm not entirely sure, so I don't know whether you want to read it in the release date order, if you want to read it how it should be read, or put it in wherever you want, like I did. Highly, highly recommend reading Lost Boy if you are reading the Everland series. And my final book for February was Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. You know me, I don't really do contemporary. Oh my gosh. Heretics Anonymous, I am so gutted I didn't get to read it last year with TBR and Beyond because it was one of our group reads and I didn't get to read it. I am so gutted with myself, but it was incredible. I don't know if it might have been my favourite book of the month, and that's saying something because I had To Kill a Kingdom, which was amazing, and I also had the Everland series, which was also incredible. But Heretics Anonymous, it's stuck with me. I know it's not that long after reading it, and it is the most recent of these reads, but there's just something about it. I don't know if it's having been Catholic, having gone to a Catholic primary school and then secondary school, and that I can relate to it because I know how the Catholic system works. But, oh my gosh, one, having a YA contemporary as well, from a boy's point of view, like, so rare. Okay, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. You know, I don't really read contemporary, so that's the only other one that I know. Written in such a way that you respect the religion, but you take the mick out of it at the same time. Oh my gosh. Just having such an amazing friendship group within it and showing the issues with the relationships, what strains relationships can go through. Oh, it was amazing. And then just, it was the humour in it. I was laughing so much throughout it. I read it in a day. One day it took me to read this. And so that's saying something, that's how much I liked it. But when I was reading it at work on my breaks, I was laughing so much that people were just like looking at me really weirdly in the canteen. It was honestly so incredible that I wish I'd had that book when I was going through secondary Catholic school, because it would have probably helped me to know that, you know, it's all right to speak your mind and to do stuff and to stand up against, you know, without going so far. Yeah, it's a tough one. I never stood up against the religion at school. Internally I did, maybe to my friends slightly, but not really, because the majority of them were Catholic as well. There were very few of us that had decided that we weren't, or that I knew about that weren't, and it was quite awkward. I'm going to stop rabbiting on now because Catholic school is anyway, yeah, I managed to read quite a few. How many did I read? I managed to read 11 books in February. What? Yeah, I managed to do that. Wow, I'm amazing. Several of those were audiobooks because of doing so many journeys up and down the M1. I think I know that road like the back of my hand by now. 31 junctions is a lot. That's at least 31. There's 31 numbered ones plus all the A's. But the audiobooks are getting me through the journeys. They're keeping me awake. They're keeping me focused on the road, because it's something else to distract one of my senses. But I'm getting through stories, I'm getting through books, and I love it. I have rabbited on long enough, and I will let you lovely people go. Enjoy the book you're reading, and I will speak to you soon.